somehow got on the talk about CB radios because somebody came in and said they were from Midland, and it reminded me of Midland radios because I owned several Midlands and a few other popular brands back then. I'm trying to remember what they are, but we're going way back into the 70s. And before there was cell phones, CB radios were the ticket.
Everybody had one where I grew up. That's how you communicated.
Yeah.
The day you got your truck, you went down to a nearby truck stop to get a good deal on a Midland.
Yep. And if you were an old guy, you probably had...
You would visit a Radio Shack.
That's true. You could get them there. And if you were one of the old guys back then, you not only had CB radios, you probably had a ham radio sitting right next to it. A lot of those old guys, they would talk to people in Guam and all over the place on their ham radios.
Yeah,
it was the thing.
Anywhere and
everywhere. Papa Bear, you said you lived about 300 something miles to the north of Anchorage?
Yeah. I live right in the middle of the state.
Okay, I was living was about that same amount of miles, but it was going to the west. So we was down there close to the Bering Sea in Bethel.
Yeah, okay, I know where that's at. Well, I've flown over the Bering Sea because I've spent time out on St. Lawrence Island, which is only 35 miles from Russia. You can actually just stand on the shore and almost wave at Russia. It's kind of crazy.
Well, see, they had those big, those old time, whatever you call those big domes that was pointing toward Russia. You used to see it in those old movies. They had that in Bethel, pointing that way toward Russia.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're not working.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's crazy. So, to change the subject, after driving in the snow like crazy all day yesterday, I got about 20 miles from my destination last night, and my battery light came on. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I started losing power in my truck. I drive a big F3 350, 1 ton 4-wheel drive. And so I get to my buddy's place and we couldn't figure it out. So this morning I went and had it tested. And the guy tells me, oh, your alternator's shot. And I'm like, great, because I got to get to Anchorage. So I got to go to 3 different stores. I buy an alternator, $255. I go to put it on in my buddy's shop out in the middle of nowhere. And we find out that my alternator is not bad. Just the power cord on the back of it had snapped off.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good thing.
So I ended up taking that alternator back and getting refunded. I took it to a different store that was closer. And they said, well, we're not going to be able to pay you back the same amount of money because we're in a different town where you bought it today. And there's a different tax bracket in our city. So we're actually going to account you back $2 more. So I made $2 off of it. And then bought a $1 part and fixed my alternator.
What, you got a Ford? You driving a Ford or what?
Yeah, it's a F350, big Ford, 7.3 turbo diesel. It's a beast.
Well, you're about 2005.
Yeah, I've pulled a lot of vehicles out of the snow over the years with that thing. I mean, jerked all kinds. It's an old one. It's a 1999.
Yeah, 7.3. Well, I was saying it had to be somewhere back there.
Yeah, I did. I made $2. They didn't rip me off. They were really kind to take it back, and they were really helpful, which is cool. What is HAPS? Good question. HAPS is like Periscope on steroids. Is that about right, guys?
I would think that's a good thing to say. Yeah.
Different.
It's different, but even at Periscope's best communication years, HAPS has got them beat by far. The HAPS team will communicate with you immediately.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's different in Periscope.
Whole different ballgame, but also the way it's built in. Yeah, you guys, if you haven't done that, you want to follow your favorite broadcasters. if you've been on Periscope, it's disappearing. It's going bye-bye. So go ahead and download HAP so you don't miss anything. It really is a good platform. I'm impressed with it so far.
Yeah, this is my first time to be on a 3-person broadcast on my mobile phone driving to work. So it's very unique.
You're driving. Yeah, just don't get in an accident. Boy, I saw a bunch of accidents today.
I only have like a 2-mile drive through a little town in an old city, not a big deal. And then I'll be inside of a radio room in a few minutes.
Oh, that's great. That's
So,
great.
5 minutes, we're looking at what radios are happening today.
Speaking of radios, I'm looking at investing into some radios for my remote camp that I use in the summer along with our boats. Because I don't know, I'm thinking of getting marine radios. They're supposed to have a pretty good range, those marine radios.
What do you got up there, Papa Bear? You got like a scouting business or something?
No, I run suicide prevention summer camps for Native youth. Been doing this for years.
Oh.
In fact, the reason I'm in Anchorage right now is next week I go out to a winter camp that we've done for 21 years now. So it's a youth camp. So I got youth coming from all over the state that'll show up to this camp. So we do winter camps, summer camps. We do all kinds of youth ministry, anything to help the youth. So in the summer, we focus on kind of our this region that's mostly Native kids up north. It's above the Yukon River. It's way the stink up there. It's right near the Arctic Circle. And I got 40 acres out there, and it's spectacular. If you ever saw it, it'd blow your mind.
Do you know Pete Kaiser by any chance?
Mm-mm.
On the Iditarod?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I know who that is, but...
Yeah, he was from Bethel, and I know him. We supported him when he first started.
Okay.
He's really into that. He's really into suicide prevention with the natives.
Okay, what's his name again?
Pete Kaiser.
Yeah, I think I've heard the name, but probably because I've read about him and whatnot, but I don't think I've met him.
Well, I'd like for you to meet him because he would be real interested if you got anything to do with helping the natives up there.
Yeah, you can definitely connect me. A lot of the people down in the Bethel area, they don't really connect with people up north.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be glad to connect with them if you want to connect us. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So there's a whole north-south vibe in Alaska?
Well, it's just there's regions. So like if you live in north up by Barrow, that's your Inupiaq Eskimo people that carries into Canada. They live above the mountain range up there, above the Brooks Range. And then you have the interior Alaska where my camp is. Interior is huge. It's massive. And mostly those are Athabascan Indian people.
Yeah.
And a bunch of old codgers that have been up there gold panning and mining and whatnot, and homesteaders. And then you have, you get what they call the valley, which is Wasilla, Palmer. It's probably the fastest growing part of Alaska. And then south of that is Anchorage. That's what they call the big village, Anchorage. And then you've got the peninsula, which is southwest. And then you have the Panhandle, which is way south at west, which are all those little towns. It's all, they're sort of, it's not, a lot of those islands aren't even inhabited anymore. A lot of those that we had inhabited with military during the World War II and whatnot. And the Japanese took a few of those islands. There's some remnants of that, and we had to go in and kick them out, but it was crazy. But the west side of Alaska is mostly Yupik Eskimo people.
Mm-hmm. That's the right.
Yeah. And then you get into southeast, you get several tribes of Indians, like Tlingit Indians and several different tribes of Indian people that live all the way down there. But so, and huge differences in like when you go up north, it's considered Arctic desert. You can look for miles and not see even a bush. It's just flat. You go down to southeast Alaska, it's the second largest rainforest in the world. Plush greenery, massive trees. Everything is big. The fish are big. The bears are big. Everything's eaten and is happy. And they rarely see sunlight because it's just raining all the time. But huge Beautiful greenery down there. It's just amazing. But Alaska is so diverse.
Mosquitoes are big.
Everything's big. I don't know. I think our mosquitoes are pretty potent.
No snakes. There's no snakes.
No snakes, no reptiles.
I didn't see any roaches when I was in Alaska.
No roaches. Not no real poisonous spiders. The only time you ever hear of that is if they get shipped up, when somebody's moving. No tarantulas, no any of those kind of things. No scorpions. It's too cold for all those kind of critters. Those things need heat. Yeah. So
up there is Mother Nature.
What we got is skeeters and bears and lots of cold and occasional wolverine that could mess up your day, but you don't see those too often.
Now you're in Anchorage today, correct?
What's that? I'm in Anchorage. Yeah, I'm in Anchorage right now.
You're busy there on a mission, or you have a little free time?
No free time. I prepped the house. I actually have to leave in about an hour and a half and go pick up a team from Florida. I'm heading to the airport, and so they're flying in. They've been flying all day. It's a university, so they're actually getting their credit for a missions trip with their university. And so I do this a lot. So I'm kind of the go-to guy for some of these universities. So I get them into, normally I take teams like this into villages, but all of our villages are shut down because they're freaking out about the virus. They think that they're going to all die. So anyway, I'm going to a small community.
My first cousin is the director of nursing there. She's been there for 35 years.
In Anchorage?
Wow.
Yes, and I've got a lot of relatives in Anchorage, believe it or not.
Wow.
Papa Bear, let me say something. When you said that about the natives, right? Well, I wasn't so lucky. When I moved up there to Bethel, I was saying Eskimo. And a lot of people don't know this, but the first school shooting that happened was in Bethel, Alaska. And the guy I went to church with was a black dude. He lost his son to that. And he was married to a Yupik, right? So when I was writing back on Facebook, I was saying about how the Eskimos were. And one day he called me outside. He said, listen, man, that is very derogatory. He said, the people like to be called natives up here. You calling them Eskimos is pretty bad. And see, that's all I'd ever heard was people from Alaska.
Yeah. It really depends on the family or the clan. Because some of them, they even call themselves Eskimos. So it really depends on, maybe in Bethel, they're a little more particular about that.
They're real quiet. They don't say anything. And do you know anything about the bathhouses with the Yupik people?
Yeah.
Well, I was invited to bathhouse one time, and it's an honor to be invited. And so I was invited to it. And I go over there, and when I walk through the door, all it is just a building, and they got wood, and they got fire over rocks, and they throwing water on the rocks. And here's 4 dudes naked in there. Here's 4 Yupik dudes just naked as hell in there, and they got these rocks, and it's all steamy in there, and they're cleaning themselves with these rocks. It's not. They don't take it. That's how they call it. That's what they call a bathhouse up there. And so what did I do? I had to do exactly what they did. Otherwise it'd have been a big insult. The next thing you know, I'm sitting in there rubbing myself with one of them damn rocks, and nobody's saying nothing. There's nobody saying a word.
Yeah. They call them sweat houses up north, and it depends on the village you're in. Yeah.
Yeah, these rocks just.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Alaska is amazing. It's a huge culture. I mean, if you like to study culture, we have 331 federally recognized tribes in our state. So that means 331 native languages.
Now, Papa Bear, the village we were in, which is the biggest village on the Kuskokwim River, we serviced 52 other little villages up and down that river. And what I didn't know, and a lot of people don't know, is when we sold that, we got that from Russians. We made a deal that we would provide health care for the natives there. So, like in Bethel, if you come into Bethel and you got a bonus got to be fixed, they're gonna fly you to Anchorage, and they're gonna fly a shadow with you. Somebody's gonna go with you, and that's all free. Health care, everything's free for the natives.
Yep, and that could be $1,000 flight.
Yeah,
Dina, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Hello from Las Vegas. We got Las Vegas in the house. We got Saudi Arabia in the house.
Probably,
Yeah.
Papa Bear, that's probably the best real estate deal that's ever been made known to mankind.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Alaska is a huge place. I'll tell you. You could spend a lifetime just exploring Alaska. And this team, I'm going to be taking them to Seward, which is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful cities in our state. And we're going to spend a few days there doing some work and working with kids. So it'll be great.
Do you tell them like they do in Bethel? Because the number one thing that they tell them when they bring in their church group there is they tell them about the dogs. Don't never walk in a place where they got sleigh dogs. Do y'all also tell them that?
Well, we won't, in this particular trip, we won't be around any sled dogs, but there's some villages where like every other family has dogs, and there's certain protocol that you have to do. Every village has its own cultural protocol. So I usually, I know what that is before I take a team in, and I do a full day of orientation. Like tomorrow, I'll do a full day of orientation with this team. So when they go somewhere with me, they're going to feel pretty confident about what they can do, what they can't do.
Mm-hmm.
I want my teams to have a good experience in Alaska, so I make sure that they're, following through with everything correctly and they have a good time. And they're going to go home with some spectacular photographs, because about every corner you want to pull over, because Alaska is like a big old fat postcard that keeps changing pictures. It's pretty awesome.
Do you take them by that big bear inside the airport there in Anchorage?
Yeah, they still have several. They got a couple bears in Anchorage. We have them at our airport up above. Oh, guys, speaking of bear, I was staying last night at my buddy's house in Wasilla. And this morning, I get up and we're having coffee. And he's got a brown bear, Randy, a brown bear in his living room.
Oh.
That's a full mount bear standing on its hind legs. So it's standing like, it's got to be over 9 foot tall, right? Big old tall bear with its claws out. And I don't know if you guys saw, we had a 5.4 something earthquake this morning in Alaska. Well, it happened only a few miles from my buddy's house. And I'm standing there with coffee in my hand. I wish I had the phone on, but I didn't. And that bear just started rocking like this with the big old claws out.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we thought, man, it's going to fall. We're going to have to lift that thing up. It's huge. And so it's doing this with its mouth wide open going, and it's just dancing. And I'm like, man, that whole house was just shaking. And that bear was just dancing in the living room. It was the funniest thing.
Oh.
You have a friend that lives in Wasilla. Wasilla is a nice community. It really is.
Wasilla's famous for the vice president. What's her name? Palin?
Yeah, Sarah Palin was one of the greatest governors we ever had in this state. I've met her on several occasions. She's legit. You can't help but like her once you meet her. She's just awesome. Just a great gal. And she's a true Alaskan. Hunt, fish, the whole thing.
Hey, Papa Bear, what is the oil allotment been lately? When I was there in Bethel back then, I think it was like $100 a person.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't want to talk about the oil, because then it's going to go political really fast.
Okay, well, let's don't.
And then guns are going to be blazing. And I carry a 44, and I'm going to win this one. So so I don't shoot a hole in my phone. We'll just leave that subject alone.
Right on. Right on.
That's my drink, guys. Sarsaparilla.
So, Papa, how have you been doing since how you been doing since with the loss of your wife? You been doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I actually went through my grieving process pretty quickly, and I'm actually writing a book about that.
Cool.
And have been doing some workshops and helping people with their grieving process. But that's a whole nother long answer to it. The short answer is I'm doing good. I'm moving forward.
Good.
And
Well, I've been
If
there.
I was gone, she would be doing the same thing. She'd be moving forward and doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, I'm with you.
There you go. Well, we're in the radio room now. We have different radio guys. Everybody here works in infrastructure radios. Hey, what's up, guys?
So I'm kind of curious, Randy, do any of these radio guys collect old radios, like as a hobby?
I don't know. We couldn't do that here. Every radio has to be registered. So here in
But
Saudi,
like at home, like, you know how like
Oh.
you keep an old radio.
Does anybody here have radios at home? You don't collect? Do you collect radios? No? So you have enough radios at work, you don't want to see them at home. Okay, no worries. Actually, these guys, we do the infrastructure inside of oil and gas. So we do communications infrastructure for oil and gas plants, and most of our stuff is IS, intrinsic safe radios. So even we have a lab here this is anti-static lab, because you can't work in intrinsic safe radios without anti-static. So before you go into the room, you have to touch.
Whoa.
And that removes all the static from your clothes and body. And then you can go into. And then there's a lab to plug yourself onto a seat and a bench to make sure you're grounded.
Wow.
And then there's also one here you put on your finger and stand on to do your feet. So we have to take all the static off of our feet, off of our clothes, off of everything that we do. And we even have special clothes to wear. We have these clothes that you have to wear just to work on anti-static radios, because these radios are all used inside of oil and gas. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so they're truly safe radios.
Yeah, they use ours inside of a plant, inside of a gas tank, and it won't blow up.
Okay. So the way the electronics are made, there's no igniting, there's no spark, there's no hot spots.
Yeah, the radios here compared to normal radios. Let's see if we can give me. Who has a radio? Hand me one. Can you hand me one of your radios out of a bag?
Now, Randy,
Open the bag up.
Randy, what do those radios control? What do they control? The radios.
Yeah, we have inside of every system, there is a main system that controls all the radios. You have servers and setups. But see, inside of a radio, see this little rubber gasket here?
Yeah.
That's if you drop the radio and the battery disconnects, that gives you so many milliseconds, so it doesn't, the spark will not.
But Randy,
sure there's no spark ever in the air. And then radios are controlled by servers, controllers. There's so many things it takes for a system. Now, the technology here is called Tetra. A lot of the ones are Tetra radios. And Tetra radios work in a different spectrum, kind of like an old GSM spectrum, but it's known as Tetra. That's mostly Europe and Middle East. But we also have VHF, UHF, and other stuff.
So, Randy, are those guys controlling the plants from y'all's office?
Yeah, these guys go out every day to different plants, and they do not do remote control of the plant is not allowed. Everything has to be closed in.
Mm-hmm.
They go out and do repair. Okay. So we have guys that go out every day and maintain and do systems. But it's due to security protocol, there is no dial into a system. It's not allowed.
Man, that's a big building.
Oh, wow.
That's a big building.
Yeah, so there's a lot. We got, hundreds of people here just doing industrial radio solutions for inside of oil and gas and inside of government buildings.
Right.
Wow.
You've been doing that a couple of years, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit. So, our systems are quite different. When you start with us, you start around $1 million just to talk to us, and then we go further.
I see. So you're dealing with a lot of different countries.
Yeah, mainly I do a lot of countries, but here we stay mostly in Saudi Arabia. So.
Okay.
And these are you're seeing the CIA and FBI. You never see a radio. You something here, somebody talking to their sleeve. This is a
Right.
radio hidden underneath their sleeve. This is hidden somewhere on their body. So these
Okay.
are smaller and thinner, and they can be hidden quite
Yeah.
easily. So
Oh,
usually,
that's
if
cool.
you somebody in Secret Service and all, there's a little tiny radio like this on their body.
Right.
So when you start talking about radios, I have to live, eat, drink, and dream radios every day still. But the big thing about our radios, see, also we have to do so much computer infrastructure. We have to do what's called voice login recording. Everything is recorded no matter what you do. And the reason it's recorded is not really for security or worried about some scandal. In case there's an emergency somewhere, they can record it and see who called who to see how to handle these things. So they can go back and see what happened. So let's say you're at a big oil and gas plant and some major disaster happened. But the radio cut out. You want to go back, listen what to do, and not go there, so they can tell you what to do.
Right.
Yes.
That makes sense.
All communications inside of oil and gas must be intrinsic safe, and they need a closed network, so there's no interference.
All right, Randy, how much longer are you going to be doing this gig?
I don't know. Rolling with it. Who knows? You know me. I'll be in the Philippines someday, sitting there drinking coffee every morning, looking at the palm trees.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Philippines, what's your favorite food that you find in the Philippines? Your favorite food?
Man, there's a lot of dishes that I really like. I don't know the name of the vegetable, but it's like a green vegetable, and they cook it in like coconut. And I can't, for the life, they tell me the dish names, but I kind of let it elude me. They have so many great dishes.
Yeah.
My favorite dishes are vegetable dishes.
Okay.
And then I like
Yeah, I
kidney
hear they eat a
lamb.
lot of pork. They eat a lot of pork over there, right?
Oh, yeah, the pork is a big deal. And fish and chicken. That's it. Pork, fish, and chicken.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Shamsuddin. May I please have one cup of coffee? Here, this is Mr. Shamsuddin. Making our coffee, keeping our coffee. Shamsuddin. Oh!
That's great. That's great. That is so
Yeah.
cool. Well, guys, I wanted to come in here and just see how everybody's doing and do an update because I get messages saying where you at. And so I'm in Anchorage and I'm going to be in this neck of the woods and doing some traveling. I'll be posting lots of Instagram stories of our road trips. So be sure and follow me there to say, see what's going on a more daily basis. But I'm trying to keep up with HAP's broadcast, but frankly, life's pretty busy. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, you know me. Keep track with me on messages. I get news every now and then, and I've been sending you stuff. You know what I mean?
Good. All right. I'll do that. And I appreciate it.
See you later.
Thanks for coming in. I'm going to cut loose on this. Thanks guys for watching. And if you have any questions about road tripping in Alaska or vacationing up here or just hunting or fishing, or if you need prayer or anything like that, papabearalaska@gmail.com. So you can just email me and let me see if I can't put that in there right now.
Okay,
and
I'll
that's
drop
Papa Bear Alaska. papabearalaska@gmail.com. So appreciate you guys coming in, and remember to download HAPS if you haven't done it yet. Follow Randy and follow all your favorite broadcasters because that's where we're going to be hanging out because HAPS is happening. That's HAPPS, HAPS. Download it, enjoy it, and bless you guys. This day was made for you, so you might as well enjoy it. Talk to you later.